So we've moved the ribs over a little bit, and now we put a little bit of butter on top of the steak. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to get a heart attack, he's going to kill himself over here. It's really not a tremendous amount of butter because a lot of it's going to melt off. So use as much or as little as you want. The choice is yours. And just, let it seep in. Let it do its job. Ribs, in a minute, we are going to pull the foil off. Whoop, there goes the popo. We're going to pull the foil off in a minute or two, and we're going to finish up the ribs over the direct coals. The butternut squash is turning out really, really well. Starting to get a nice little darkness to it. I think pretty soon everything's going to be able to come off the grill, and we shall be done. Now we're going to start buttering the other side of the steak. And in a few minutes, we're going to put it back to the indirect side, and we're going to let it hang out, let all this butter seep in, and then we'll be good to go. The steak looks to be just about done. Alrighty, for those of you who may be looking to grill ribs on your own, a way to tell that they are getting close to being done is when you start seeing the bone exposing from the ends of the meat. That's a really, really good sign. Typically, you want to check with an internal temperature. I think you want to get somewhere around 140 degrees. You always want to make sure that when you're cooking things like pork and poultry, that you're always cooking them to the proper temperature. Anytime you're doing poultry, the internal temperature has to be 165 degrees. Anything less than that, you're risking getting salmonella. With pork, I usually try to go somewhere between 140 and 145 degrees. I have a digital thermometer. I'll be breaking that bad boy out in a little while. So right now, we've moved the butternut squash over to the coals again. We want to start finishing these guys off. Get a little char on the outside. That's always our goal. Make sure the insides are cooked as well. You don't want to eat these things raw. Not that it's bad for you, but it gets a little hard on the inside. Not very tasty. Butternut squash always tastes better when it's softened up. And again, we got the steak on the other side doing the indirect heat. We've put the butter on both sides. Now we're just going to let this thing sit for a little while and rest up. We're over 182, almost 190 degrees on the ribs. And I think that's only because we have it directly over the flames. I'm going to move things to the indirect side, and we'll get another reading now. And again, we're at about the 180 mark or so, 181. We moved the ribs over to the indirect side. So, yeah, it's in like the 180, 183 range. Definitely done. We'll be pulling the ribs off pretty soon. Another good way of making sure the ribs are done is to take it by the tongs and bend. If they look like they're about to rip apart, that means they're pretty much done. The more raw the meat is, the more it kind of stands out straight, but when you've cooked it thoroughly, and we've had these things on the grill now for better than 2 hours, you're pretty much done. And again, with the internal temperature being 180 degrees, I think we're good. I'm going to close the top for a second so I can go get a tray to bring everything off. Let these butternut squash cook off a little bit more. The steak has melted up the butter. Ribs are done. Bones are exposed. I think we're in pretty good shape. We can bring things in a minute. Alrighty, so now we brought everything inside. Ribs are done. Steak is done. Butternut squash is done. But I'm not going to carve into everything just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to take some aluminum foil and we're going to place it over the top. You don't have to fit it. You don't have to make it too tight. You just want to keep everything under the tin foil. One of the biggest beginner mistakes is that you get things off the grill, friends and family are over, they're barking at you because they're hungry, and people start to carve into whatever they made. And all those juices go dripping out into the dish. Yeah, it looks kind of nice and all that juice is there, but that juice is not in the meat. It's in the dish. And now you're going to wonder why everything starts to dry out after a little while. So what you're going to do is you're going to let things sit under the foil for a good 10 or 15 minutes, just until things have cooled down a little bit. All the juices stay inside of the meat, and it's going to taste a lot better. Trust me when I tell you. Alright, this is it as far as the grilling videos. Next video, we're going to show everything carved up, what things should look like, and that's about it.